Virtual reality games are often as interesting as you make them. Developers give players an array of mechanics and set them free to experiment however they see fit. You are the glue holding these experiences together, and that's exactly how it goes in Deadpool VR. Twisted Pixel's licensed adventure is spurred onward by a never-ending stream of fourth-wall-breaking dialogue courtesy of Neil Patrick Harris. His Merc with a mouth has the classic dry sense of wit and sarcasm, but it can almost border on subdued at times when compared to the likes of Nolan North or Ryan Reynolds. But in the context of a VR game where you don't want to be dominated by terrible penis jokes at every turn, it works well. Even as someone who isn't a huge fan of this often polarizing character, the writing is sharp, the combat is flashy, and the environments are varied enough to pull me through to the end. Whether this will be one last hurrah for MetaVR or the beginning of a new frontier, it is well worth checking out.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Deadpool VR opens with a tremendous set piece. Our regenerating protagonist has strapped a poor generic enemy into the driver's seat of an armored vehicle as you are sent hurtling through a jungle as hundreds of gun-toting mercenaries give chase, feeling highly reminiscent of the Bye 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 opening of Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a thrilling yet occasionally generic sequence as you use pistols, shotguns, and katanas to dispatch myriad enemies, all while a power metal banger plays in the background. Quippy jokes, a hapless assistant on the radio, and a never-ending array of gnarly kills make it abundantly clear what the rest of the game has in store. Before you know it, Deadpool has crash-landed on a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, currently being commandeered by bad guys. Cue a first mission in which you must do Nick Fury's dirty work for him, while bringing down fascists who appear to have much bigger plans unfolding behind the scenes. You'd be happy to help stop all this, but unfortunately, Deadpool is sucked into an interdimensional portal seconds after the first boss battle comes to an end. This is where the game's true premise rears its head. Mojo has sucked Deadpool into his intergalactic prison and offers him freedom in exchange for completing a simple mission: kidnap a variety of villains so they can compete in the Big Fat Aliens reality show. This sets up levels that revolve around encounters with names like Mephisto, Lady Deathstrike, Omega Red, and Ultimo. Names like this aren't often featured in modern Marvel games or films, so as someone who rarely reads the comics, it was fun to discover a new side of this universe for the first time. Not to mention that villains like this are wonderful foundations for levels where you'll be free to explore varied environments while uncovering several new gameplay mechanics. Like I said, experimentation is the key to everything, and you will soon be duking it out with demons, ninjas, soldiers, and everything in between.
Hacking and slashing and bashing.
While you will often gain access to new weapons in certain levels, such as Thor's hammer, you will otherwise be stuck with an established arsenal for much of the game. Deadpool has twin pistols at his sides and 2 katana on his back, which can be accessed by moving your hands into the correct position and holding the trigger buttons. Early on, you will also earn an incredible grapple gun, which can be used to swing across the environment or even toy with certain enemies by pulling them close or flinging them up into the air. Combat encounters can be laughably boring and basic if you choose to do nothing but hold your pistols and fire away endlessly. But once you learn to spice things up, arenas filled with enemies become bullet ballets of awful puns and flying limbs. The katana can be used to cut an approaching foe to pieces, often turning their loose appendages into weapons all their own. If a weapon is thrown and hits an enemy, it will fly back in slow motion as you're given a healthy window of time to catch it in midair. Learn to combine this with melee attacks, and you'll build up impressive combo strings in no time. Just make sure there is enough room around you to best take advantage of everything, unless you want your knuckles flying into a nearby wall. Deadpool is an agile fellow as well, so in between combat arenas, you will often encounter platforming gauntlets filled with deep chasms, walls to run across, and locations where an awfully keen eye is required to scope out grapple points. None of these are especially hard to navigate, but you do feel like a badass after perfectly stringing several grapple points and wall runs together without accidentally tumbling into oblivion. Combat will normally unfold in arenas packed with ledges and grapple points as well, encouraging you to attack from every angle possible instead of standing in place, which is a surefire way to get yourself killed. Boss battles, while filled with spectacular custom animations and mechanics at times, can be when the bullet sponge nature of enemies in Deadpool VR makes itself clear. It can often be impossible to progress without filling your enemy with bullets, waiting for health bars to lower until you are free to hurl pieces of the environment at your foes or launch into a quick-time event in which you have little to no control. It took me out of the experience since I had no option but to sit and watch, and there are several extensive story scenes similar to this. If you're going to keep me standing still in a VR space for several minutes, ensure the environment at least has objects to pick up or gadgets to interact with, or risk me growing bored with exposition that simply isn't very interesting. As for Neil Patrick Harris's performance as Deadpool, I went from skeptical to sold in a matter of hours. He's notably more subdued than other takes on the character, speaking with softer, more deliberately sarcastic tones rather than screaming in our faces all the time. But we're also playing as him from a first-person perspective with literally no escape from his constant stream of awful jokes, so it makes sense for Harris to rein things in a little bit. He's charming, unpredictable, and filled with all the fourth-wall breaking pop culture references you'd expect. I doubt it's going to replace Ryan Reynolds as the overall favorite, but it comes pretty close. Deadpool VR isn't going to change the world of virtual reality or convince many newcomers to give the medium a try, but it is a gruesomely good time, with satisfying combat, plenty of parkour, and a surprising amount of variety across its roster of villain-focused levels. Those with a MetaQuest 3 gathering dust in dire need of a new exclusive will have a bloody good time here, even if its occasionally formulaic nature risks holding it back from greatness.